you talk about the top shooting guards in the game right now. You talk about Devin Booker, talk about Donovan Mitchell, talk about Jason Tatum, we talk about Anthony Edwards. What do you think you need to do as a whole to come in next year to take that step to where you're just solidified as the best shooting guard in the NBA?
Just kill everybody, man. That's my mindset coming in.
Yeah, kill everybody.
Love it.
You know, anytime I match up with any of those guys, I'm gonna guard them, and hopefully they guard me, and I showcase that I'm a lot better than them.
Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Alex, and let's talk about Anthony Edwards and why I think he's going to be the next superstar in the NBA. I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but man, I'm really missing the NBA season, and because of this, I've been watching a lot of FIBA basketball. And it's kind of funny because coming into the whole FIBA basketball thing, a lot of people were debating about who was going to be the best player on that team. Some people brought up Jalen Brunson. Anthony Edwards was a part of that discussion. Then you had some, throw-ins like Jaren Jackson Jr., Brandon Ingram. All of those guys I thought were very good candidates for being the best player on the FIBA team. But as the FIBA games have gone along, and especially in this last game against Germany, I truly think Anthony Edwards has really put himself at the top of this team, and it's kind of funny because he is really convincing me that he is going to be this next superstar. When he got drafted, I thought that he was going to be a very good player, but I wasn't as high as a lot of people were, and he has definitely been proving me wrong. And at this point, he's made me make a video about him because I truly do think that all this hype that he got when he was drafted, it actually was warranted, and he may be better than I think what a lot of people were actually thinking as well. Anthony Edwards came into the league and he was a pretty much 20-point per game scorer. Of course, the efficiency wasn't really there, but you definitely saw the flashes. His athleticism and just competitive spirit definitely drove him to a very good rookie season, and you could definitely see the pieces kind of coming in, especially towards the tail end of the season. Then we got into his sophomore season, and again, you saw the improvements. He started averaging more points. His efficiency was a lot better. He got better as a defender, was making better reads as a passer, especially operating out of the pick and roll. And when we got to the playoffs, he definitely overplayed what he was doing in the regular season. Not only did his points per game go up, but his efficiency went up as well, and he definitely looked like the best player on the Timberwolves. But again, Karl-Anthony Towns was on that team, and he didn't play too bad himself either. And in his third season, which was this very last season, again, you saw the improvements. His points went up again. Pretty much what he was doing in the playoffs the year before, he was now doing on a more consistent basis in the regular season, and this got him his first All-Star appearance. On top of his offensive game just flourishing, his defensive game especially took a step up as well, even though there was still a little bit of inconsistency. But as a 21-year-old, I think he was as good as he could have been. And again, once we got to the playoffs, he literally turned into a whole different beast.
It's been fascinating watching you, during the regular season, you've been terrific, but you go up another notch in the playoffs. How would you describe playoff basketball and how excited you get for those big moments?
I think I just live for those moments, man. I just know that's what I'm built for. I'm here for that. I'm ready. I wish we can skip to the playoffs. I love that.
In the regular season, Anthony Edwards was averaging about 25 points per game on 45% from the field, pretty much 37% from three on 7 attempts, which is very good volume. But again, once we got into the playoffs, he turned into a whole different beast, turning into a pretty much 32 point per game scorer, with his efficiency seeing rises as well. And his defense, I think, really stood out, especially in that series against the Nuggets. And I think by far and away, he was that best player on the Timberwolves team. And going into this next season, I don't see why he can't continue to be the best player on this team, especially with what we've been seeing again in this FIBA tournament. He has by far and away been the best player when he is surrounded by other great players, all-star caliber players. He is the one that shines the most, and I think that's really telling to the player that he actually is. And we can sit here and talk about how great of a three-point shooter he is, how great of a finisher and attacker of the rim he is, how much better he has gotten as a defender and a passer, and just a playmaker in general. But I think what is really going to define who he becomes as a player, and personally why I think he is going to be the next NBA superstar, is just his mentality and competitive spirit and the ability to learn and just want to get better.
First 3 years have been extremely, profitable, been great for you. What's next? What can we expect next?
Just more addition to my game. I mean, showing the world that I got a lot more post game, mid post defense, even more defense. get in better shape and just, going out there and just impacting the game in every way that I can.
So I just noticed right there, you talked about all your teammates. You didn't mention one thing about yourself. For you, trying to get that leadership quality down as well, how do you approach leadership going into the year?
I mean, I think it's through action, man. A lot of people do a lot of talking about leadership. I think leadership is through action. I think, you put the work in every day. If you put the work in on the court, in the weight room, in front of your teammates, and just show them that you're willing to sacrifice anything to win the game, they'll listen to you, and it's vice versa. I'm willing to take coaching from my teammates, listen to what they got to tell me. So, I mean, it's 50-50, man. It's give and take. And those guys, we all love each other, man. So it should be no problem.
You can just hear it in these interviews. He wants to make a change to his game and not just be stagnant, but he wants to continue to get better. And for someone who just turned 22, his maturity level is just on a whole different level compared to players who are also his age. And it's also great that he wants to continue to get better as a player and lead his team to ultimately a championship, because he just recently signed an extension with the Timberwolves. It's a 5-year contract and it can reach up to $260 million. Now, what usually happens is a lot of players get this sort of money, especially these young players when they get these max rookie extensions, and they don't really see the progression that you were really hoping for. Just first example that comes to my head is Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole got all of this money and then immediately stunk up the joint in the playoffs and honestly just didn't play as good as he did before he got that extension. And of course, I guess we'll just have to wait to see what Ant does in the regular season and going into this next season. But based off, again, what we've seen in the FIBA tournament, he is by far and away a better player than what he was when he just finished in the playoffs. So I feel pretty confident in saying that Anthony Edwards is going to live up to this contract, and he isn't going to let this contract lower his push to be a great player.
With all the work that you put in at this point, has it sunk in? This contract extension, all the hard work to get to this point. How have you processed it?
It was dope to see it, but I got to start proving myself more now that I got a contract like that. So that's what's fun about it.
And I know it's funny to say that his it factor is what's going to put him over the top into this superstar caliber player and put him over other guys who I think are also well deserving to be superstar players. The it factor isn't going to be something that you can just look on Basketball Reference for, and it's not really something that you can truly calculate. It's more of just kind of like a feeling and what you see. It's more eye test and also what you hear from them as a player. And on all notes, I personally have just heard all the key things that make him an it player. Again, he wants to make the pushes to be a great player, and not only does he just want to be a great player, but he wants to be a great player who wins. And not only can you see that just through his natural progression as a player throughout the years, but he's backing it up with his talk. He's talking about doing this and he's backing it up with his continued progression as a player throughout these years. I would say right now Anthony Edwards is probably in the top 25 NBA players in the league, just on a rough scale. I don't have an exact spot for him. It would not surprise me though in the next year or two if he continues to push himself closer into the top 15, borderline top 10 player. I think that's just how great he can be. But I also don't want to rush those expectations as well, because again, he's going to be going into this next regular season as a 22-year-old. He's still very young. He has a lot to grow into, but you can just tell so far that through his natural progression and from being self-accountable and wanting to make himself better and backing it up as well with his play, I just don't see a world where Anthony Edwards isn't going to be a superstar in this league. Well, those are my thoughts on Anthony Edwards, especially going into this next season. Let me know what y'all think down below. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and sub. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so it means a lot. Check out my socials down below in the description. You can also check out this video somewhere on the screen where I go over the 76ers versus James Harden saga and why James Harden could virtually ruin his entire career. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.